Gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome on the Culture News. My name is David Serrero, and I have the pleasure to have today on iHeart Radio on the Culture News and other platform. How can I introduce this man? You have great creators and you have people who are above that category, who have that wonderful uh, gift, talent, work ethic, and also desire to always grow and always create more music. This is a composer, and I'm so honored to have him today on the show. We are talking about a five-time Emmy winner. Did you hear that? Five-time Emmy winner. I'm, of course, talking about the composer, Mr. Jeff Beal. Jeff, how are you today?
I'm good. It's so nice to speak with you. Thanks for having me on.
Jeff, thank you. It's really an honor to be with you, and thank you for the opportunity for being with us. So, you did the music of so many of my favorite films. You did the music of Pollock, which was one of my favorite films, movies of Oliver Stone, etc., etc. I invite everyone to go on your website, jeffbeal.com, to see your very impressive resume, and you're going to talk to us about what is new with you. But first, Jeff, if you don't mind, can you please tell me how your love for music, your passion for music started before you even became a composer?
Yeah, I was really early in my youth. I was a trumpet player. I still am a trumpet player. If you hear the music on House of Cards, that's me playing the trumpet parts. But I remember very well when I was like in middle school, maybe 12 or 13, and the first time I started improvising on the trumpet. Something happened, and David, and it was this sense of a voice, a creativity, a spontaneous, and that was really kind of a light bulb moment. I realized that there was a creative force that was expressing itself, and it really led to a lot of things, improvisation, but eventually, composition, of course, which has been an amazing journey and opportunity to and really continue to do those things. And I think one of the most enjoyable things about the recent part of my career has been sort of merging those two together. This weekend actually, I have a premiere of a new work with the LA Master Chorale at Walt Disney Concert Hall of the Beatitudes, and I'll be playing flugelhorn and piano along with an 80 voice choir, which is going to be so fun. And I'll be improvising a little bit on the flugelhorn around the choir. And it's just, it sort of combines all the things that I've loved in my career of storytelling and music and expression.
Well, thank you so much for telling us that. What's going on in your mind, Mr. Jeff Beal, when you are composing? And this is a question I would love. I mean, you are a genius, and when we have geniuses, we have to question their mind. Wouldn't you like to know the answer from Mozart? What's going on in your mind when you write music? So, what is going on in your mind when you are writing music? When you are composing? What are you trying to achieve? Are you searching for beauty, aesthetic, something that works, something? What is happening in our mind? Please.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. And it's funny, the older I get, the more of the mystery part of it, I feel like I don't need to explain. But I can look at it objectively and think about a few things. One is the idea of story is it's really the center of all I do. So whether I'm writing a film score or a piece for the concert stage or like this new record, the New York Etudes Volume 2, I'm sitting at the piano or at the keyboard and thinking about a mood, a feeling, an emotion, something to get me going. And because I really do come from jazz and improvisation, there's a very powerful unconscious part in my creative process, which I really trust. And it sort of is my friend. It's sort of becoming very comfortable with uncertainty. And invariably, something comes through. If it's a film, obviously the story. I'm looking for something inside my own soul, my own emotional memory that resonates with that. It's funny because the Etudes are a good example. The New York Etudes, the second volume is coming out. We just a new single's out today called Nocturne, and the full album will be out on March 27th. But in the interim between the first album and the second album, both my parents passed away in the last, 2.5 years. So that happens to all of us. And I certainly wasn't planning. I don't think it's a sad record. I wasn't thinking about grief specifically, but I do know in this year of finishing the music, this past in 2025, when I really finished composing, that those feelings, that strong sense of processing, catharsis, really, came through that music, and it's part of the story of that music.
Wow. First of all my condolences for your parents, and I'm pretty sure that where they are, which is in heaven,
Yeah.
pretty sure that they are very, very proud. Did, by the way, they were proud of what you were doing? Did they tell you, or you had that struggling childhood? My parents wanted me to be an attorney. They don't
Well,
love what I did.
Uh, let's be honest. It's always a little bit of both. I mean, I think every person's. I mean, I have a son that's a wonderful musician. He's a jazz bass player. So I think every parent's, is telling your kid, Shelly, I want to be an artist, is terrifying to a parent. And they had that part, but they were incredibly supportive. I mean, they realized I was obsessed with music as a young age. I remember my father built me a practice room in the garage where I could practice trumpet all hours of the day and night. They moved the piano out there. I'm sure I was driving our family crazy, let's be honest, right? But they were so proud. One of my favorite memories of mom, who loved the piano music especially. It was really calming for her, and there's a very powerful wellness and meditative component to the etudes for me and for other people when they listen to them. I'll never forget when the first record came out. I was so lucky. We had a wonderful piece on national media. I did a piece for NPR with Scott Simon, and I didn't tell my mom it was coming. I didn't know it was coming. And I mentioned an etude that I dedicated her, and she just happened to hear it. She was listening to Scott Simon on NPR. And, it doesn't matter how old you are, your parents' approval means the world to you. I mean, right? And so I never forget the call from mom when she heard me on the radio and heard her name. And that was like kind of, wow, how lucky was I to really be able to have her share that joy of really, listen, your parents have a huge effect on you. I was lucky; neither of them were professional musicians, but there was a piano in the house, and both my mother and father were very musical, and there's a big reason for them in my the fact that I'm a musician to this day.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. That was very, very touching, and I'm sure they were very, very proud of you. I'm glad there was music in the house. So now, when you're writing music for a film, you're writing the soundtrack for a film versus to writing a musical piece for instruments, solo, is your approach of composing different? And if yes, how so?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously I'm telling a story that's delivered to me. Film is a medium I love. I love actors. I love the collaborative aspect of that. But if I look back to, like, I guess, one of the most recent projects I've done for the screen is a wonderful limited series called All Her Fault, starring Sarah Snook, that's on Peacock. And this was an amazing, wonderful story. It was about a parent and a missing child, and it is also about and a real relationship and marriage and what husbands and wives do. And so, in that sense, I feel like, again, I'm channeling things from my own biography that I can relate to, but I get to play. It's fun. I get to put myself in other characters' point of view. When I write a piece of concert music, it is different in the sense that the narrative is not given to me. I have to create it. And so that is especially, it takes, those pieces take longer, I'll be honest, because there's more searching that goes on into the work. And also, I think one of the things that's most different about writing for the concert stage versus the film is the complete utter freedom you have. It's just like the complete blank canvas, no limits. Uh, Duration is up to you. And so really that idea of an unbridled palette in which to create is something that I really love as opposed to the restraints of film, which are the limits are good for an artist, but being free of the context is also sometimes, I think, very gratifying as well.
Well, thank you so much for telling us about that. When you're writing the music of a soundtrack, um, what are you thinking about? Are you thinking about how you can sustain that particular story? Is your music another character that is in the room, or you like no? It has to embellish the dialogues. Always think, how do you put these notes in between the lines of the actor? And yeah, that would be
No, that's an ex. I think one of the things you said I really believe in the idea of music as a character is really a powerful one because really, there's a very famous quote. I guess it was Bernard Herrmann. I guess when he did all these movies with Alfred Hitchcock, and we were doing Old Man in the Sea, or Hitchcock asked, well, we're questioning why there should be music in that film, and he said, well, where's the orchestra? We're on the ocean, And so Bernard Herrmann, without missing a beat, came back and said, well, where are the cameras, right? So it there's it's the idea that it's this sort of other thing that enters into the world of the film. And I think a lot of what I like to try to do when I'm establishing music as a character is to not necessarily tell the audience what they're seeing. We know where we are. We know what looking at. We know what maybe we think the perceived situation. Music has this powerful way of often getting to the subtext of a story, of telling us maybe what a person isn't saying, but they're showing on their face, or we're assuming. And so it's really this other third sort of secret character that invites the audience to maybe invest and lean in a little deeper into the performance. And really, I think good art has a sense of provocation in the sense that it's really not a good piece of art asks the recipient, whether it's a viewer of a painting or the watcher of a film or a listener to music, it asks the listener to engage. And really, it's not done until that person engages and forms some connections. And so I'm always trying to think of um, the creating mystery and provocation for the listener. And really, I'll give you a good example. In All Her Fault, for example, there's a real mystery to the show that's not revealed to the very end, but there's seeds of it that sort of bubble up at different times. And so I used some music in the show to really give this sense of almost this operatic um, sense of a meaning. Of course, I didn't want to tell the audience what it was, but I wanted to give the audience this sense that this is a big deal. It might even be a bigger deal than you're even seeing right now. In fact, it is for people that have watched that whole show. So, trying to sort of just leave these little breadcrumbs of the story and really getting you to invest.
wow. We so now let's take a break on questioning your genius and tell us what is new with you. What do you have now being released? What is going on?
Yeah, it's a busy spring. I'm having so much fun. I already mentioned the Beatitudes, and of course, the New York Etudes Volume 2 is really a record I'm so excited about. That's on Platoon. But I have another couple wonderful things coming in the spring. I will be conducting my new score to Fritz Lang's Metropolis, which is an amazing silent film, of course, from 100 years ago, almost 100 years ago. I'll be conducting the premiere of that at the Composer Summit in Prague in April. And also back in New York City, I'll be doing some very special shows of the piano etudes for this wonderful concert series, Death the Classical, March 26th and 27th. I just finished a score this week, actually, of a wonderful new documentary about Rod Serling, who created the music for The Twilight Zone. It's going to be premiering soon at a wonderful film festival. I don't think it's been announced yet. It's somewhere, maybe Texas is a state where it's going to happen. So I'll leave that open until it's announced, but that's coming up soon. And the last but not least is I have some new commissions I'm working on. One I'm especially excited about. There's a wonderful jazz saxophonist who I've admired for years by the name of Branford Marsalis. I'm sure you've heard of him. His brother is Wynton, who's a fabulous jazz trumpet player. I'm composing a concerto for Branford and the Orpheus Chamber Orchestra.
Wow, that's it. Why are you not working more?
That's all.
That's a little bit disappointing. I thought you would
I
have
know.
more things, you know.
I know it's insane. It's
Yeah.
insane, right? I obviously love what I do. I mean,
No, of
it's
course.
not a job, and I listen, this is a joy. I mean, how lucky am I? I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis about 18 years
Man.
ago, and it's not lost on me how well I'm doing now. And so I think I have a sense of urgency. Maybe I'm 62 years old. That's not young, but I have a sense of like really wanting to make the most of the time I have here and to really grow and change and evolve. I love what you said in the beginning. I was very that's very deep, that's important to me. I think it's we live in New York City now. We're actually in LA for the premiere of the Beatitudes. We moved about 4 years ago. And that's been a wonderful change. It would have been very easy to stay in Los Angeles, and I love this city. It's given me so much. But, I feel like being in New York has been a wonderful. I have new relationships. I'm really leaning into my concert music, my piano music. I'm working on an opera right now with my wife Joan. I'm very excited about. So I feel like there's a restlessness I think to being an artist, which is it's not uncomfortable. It's actually you learn to make that your friend, and you learn to become comfortable with the adventure of trying new things. I guess for me. I don't like the feeling of no. I like the feeling of uncertainty. I like things that make me a little scared. And again, I'm 62. I've written 150 plus film scores. I know how to do that, and I'd love to do it, but I haven't written an opera. I'm starting a piano concerto later on this year. Things that you haven't done before are especially gratifying and interesting to me. I guess you could maybe I have a little bit of artistic ADD. I think there's definitely part of that, hopefully in a healthy way.
And man, I cannot wait to hear your opera. It's going to be amazing. And there is for me so much connection between opera and soundtrack, and film
Yes.
composing. Because when you hear, by example, I know when we speak with a film composer, we tell them John Williams, there's not just John Williams, but it's like he's one of the big guys. And also I feel, he brings an operatic, and he enhanced the story with his music. So I feel there is a lot of opera into his music, and a lot of friends of mine, because I'm an opera singer originally.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
that
wonderful.
happens to some people, and a lot of my friends, and I took a big pride of bringing people who didn't have anything to do with opera and bring them into the opera. The first thing they told me, they said, "Oh, it sounds like a movie soundtrack, like the music, the
Yes,
overture."
exactly.
Yeah,
Bingo. I'm sorry,
yeah.
go ahead. Yeah, that's so true. I mean, I really think if well, it's funny if I think, Wagner and Verdi and all these people were alive today, they'd probably be writing film scores too.
Oh, yeah.
But also I think more film composers should be writing operas because I think we are uniquely prepared to do the job of what an operatic career, if you know how to write for voices. I mean, knowing how to write opera is really knowing how to write for the voice, of course.
Yeah, and
But
you need a good story.
but you're a storyteller, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, and that's funny. I'm really excited. One of the things we love about New York, and there's a wonderful opera here in Los Angeles too, opera company. And but I'm really excited. The Met is actually bringing back the Ring cycle, and I'm looking forward to seeing that again. I've seen
Oh, yeah.
most of them separately, but he was really sort of the first film composer. I mean, there's a wonderful book by John Mauceri, The War on Music, which is all about how the Jews had sort of fled Germany around the time of Hitler, which is a good time to get out of there, and came to Hollywood. They really sort of invented film music, and they brought with them that late
Yeah.
Romanticism,
Yeah.
and that was really what became Hollywood film music.
And also Kurt Weill, all these people they
Yes,
contributed, and they had this very I should say coming from Eastern countries, this basic of classical, coming mixed with operetta. They come to America, they
yeah,
discover jazz, the harmony and all of that, and they started actually Broadway started that way, so
Yes.
it would be
Yeah.
amazing to. I cannot wait to hear your opera.
Oh, thank you.
That would be really amazing. So I know you've been very generous with us, so I don't want to take more of your time. And but just one question: when you write the main title theme of a House of Cards, what do you want to do? What you want to achieve? Like, how do you find the theme that will define the whole story, the whole season? Because you don't know what's going on after. They show you one episode, they pitch you about it, they show you a whole season. Like, how does it work, and how do you make that magic happen? Because you
Ye-
cannot be wrong. You know what I mean? Like, if you're wrong on the Star Wars, ta 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 ta, ta, ta,
Right. Yeah.
then you're dead for the whole thing. How do you do that?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I got really lucky with that one, and John Williams' Star Wars is another one. Obviously, those are great examples. Uh, uh, I think for the House of Cards is a fun one, fun story to share because really, David Fincher is one. Still remains one to be one of my favorite filmmakers, and I went in to meet with David before he started shooting, and really it was a creative meeting about the show, and they sent me four scripts, and we had this wonderful, just sort of really short chat, as we had lunch, and we had talked about the show, and he had some musical references he gave me, and he mentioned, I think he said, I think we need to call to arms was one thing. He also described the Hollywood producer that reminded him a lot of this Frank Underwood character, who's this sort of, misanthropic, power hungry monster, basically. And then that's sort of that's not surprising to us, given the world we're living in now. You look at some of these leaders, including in our country, and you can see what power does to some people, right? But and I remember before David started shooting, he said he wanted to hear some sketches. He comes from music video, so I actually wrote three or four sketches and sent them to him. I think at the time I almost felt like it might have been an audition. I don't know if it was or not, but it felt that way to me. Like I better really do this. I better really show him. But one of those four pieces was a piece that I thought might be the main title. I just numbered them. I didn't want to tell them what they were, and I sent them. And luckily, David loved the music. And the next time when I first got the pilot back from him and his wonderful editor Kurt Baxter, they had put that sketch that I thought might be the main title right where it was. And of course, I did further orchestration, but a good theme is something that I love trying to create. And really, the great thing about a show like that is that I think is a minute and a half long. I mean, it's a long title sequence. Speaking of opera, it is almost like an overture to an opera. And so a good overture should really give you the sense of the world and get you jazzed and excited. And I hate that all the streamers have this skip intro button now. It's sort of like really not fun, but
Yeah. It
really,
conditions you, the opening
right.
conditions the
It's a
mind of
ritual,
what you're
right?
going to see. It puts you in the mood.
Exactly. Exactly. It's sort of like sets the stage. So,
I love how you said that
that,
it sets the stage. That's
yeah.
amazing. Well, one thing that it sets really well is your talent and your genius. I want to encourage everyone to go on your website, jeffbeal.com. I want to say a big thank you to Crossover Media, my dear friend Max Horowitz and Amanda Bloom, who made that interview possible. But mostly, I want to thank you, my dear Jeff, for your genius, for your wonderful work, for your creativity, and also for fighting to have always a great full orchestra, to get a score, to giving work to musicians, to all of that. And so deeply grateful. And please, 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 one opera every year from you.
Oh, right.
Please.
Good.
One new
All right.
opera every year. Write a great baritone part. I come to do it.
Good.
So
Sounds wonderful, David. Thank you.
it's so good to have you. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is David Cerebro. I had the pleasure to have today on iHeartRadio on the Culture News, the one and only composer, not just any composer, the one and only, of course, Mr. Jeff Beal. Beal is spelled Beel. Beal, and he has a website, jeffbeal.com. He's a five-time Emmy winner. We're not talking about anyone here. This is high class. Stay tuned with us. And guess what? We're going to play one of Jeff's tunes right now. Stay tuned with us. It's a beautiful day in New York.